Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are doing an Ask Fred session today. And if you do have a question, you can ask in the chat. We do have some questions that were submitted early, but just in case you haven't met us before, my name is Tessa, and I'm the Director of Marketing at IdeaPros. And I have Fred Cary here as well. So hi, Fred. How are you? Oh, I muted you. Ha ha ha. Because you had noise in the background. So you'll have to unmute yourself. But while Fred is getting unmuted, let's see if I can make him unmuted. There you go. Okay. Perfect. While Fred's getting all settled in, I just want to introduce you, Fred. You're the CEO for IdeaPros, and you've been doing this a long time. So how long have you been an entrepreneur?
Well, I don't want to really tell people, but it's going on 50 years.
So I feel like you're
50 years, I would say, yeah.
You're qualified to answer a lot of these questions that I'm going to throw at you today. And if you guys do have a question, again, put it in the chat. And our goal is it's about all things entrepreneur. It's about the mental side of what you need to be doing as an entrepreneur, the actual building of your business, even managing how to handle people, whatever questions you have. We want you to have a place to go to get those answered. So Fred, the first question today is actually, it's a pretty easy one, I think. So this person has an app idea, and where do they start in order to get that going? What do they do first?
Not go to an app developer. That's the big mistake that people often make. In fact, I recently reached out to 68 people that we had almost done deals with over the last couple of years, but didn't for one reason or another. And I reached out to them to see how they were doing and to offer free advice or whatever, however I could work with them. And a few of them were apps. And what we do at IdeaPros and what we're going to tell you to do as an individual is build a business, right? And we're going to talk about building a business more, but they just wanted to build an app. And in two cases, they went out and spent over $200,000 building an app that basically has turned out to be a road to nowhere. You need to build a business, and you need to think of the app that you want to build is the tool, not your business. Your business is this valuable information that you have for people, and here are the people that really need it. The app is just a roadway that connects them. And if you're just focusing on building an app, then you're focusing on building a road to nowhere. So you need to do, just like any other business, you need to do comprehensive business analysis, research, market size, market growth, competitive analysis, the competitor strengths and weaknesses. How can you exploit those weaknesses? What's your audience? What do they really want that they're not getting now? Because if you're building something that doesn't have any demand, you're building something that nobody's going to download, right? So what is the demand that needs to be met? How are people meeting that demand now? And why is your solution better? Why are they going to come to you instead of what they're doing right now? All those things fundamentally have to be developed first. Then after that, your naming, branding, your positioning. How are you going to be the Apple to Microsoft or IBM? How are you going to stand out from that crowd? And then, only then, do you want to build out an app. And I would say to anybody building out an app now, go look at the first version of Instagram. Or in fact, go look at the show that we did just a couple of weeks ago, because we pointed out several multi-billion-dollar multinational organizations. We pointed out the V1 of what they built, and it looks pretty pathetic. It's something that each of you would be embarrassed if you built it and launched it. That's how they launched. So when you're building an app, don't get tempted by an app store, an app builder that's going to tell you, we're going to do these 48 features for you. Find the one or two things that are really compelling, go out, do that, start there, then get your audience feedback to build from there. So build very, very lean version of what you want to accomplish. Build Airbnb of day one, not Airbnb where they've spent $500 million building out their app.
I love it. Great advice. Thank you, Fred. That was good. I knew he would take that one and hit it out of the ballpark for sure. So this one is a legal one. And what legal considerations should I be aware of with an LLC? So we do have some people who are coming up on that part in their business where they need to set the business up right. So what legal considerations do you need to be aware of with an LLC?
Yeah. Okay. I'm a lawyer, but I cannot give legal advice to people. I just don't want to blurt out legal advice. So why don't we adjust that a little bit and talk about the considerations of having an LLC, why you have an LLC, what it does for you. You're going to need an LLC for a couple of different reasons. Number one, if you're going to go out and get investors, which I recommend for every company that you're going to start, to bring in capital to help you so you don't have to do it alone, you need some sort of corporate structure to be able to give them a membership interest, or if it's a corporation, give them stock, right? And you need to have that vehicle in order to do that. So you need it for that reason, number one. Number two, if you have an LLC and you have people in it, you can put together an operating agreement that lays out what everybody's going to do, how they're going to do it, how things are handled, different things that go on in any company's life cycle. And so that gives you the structure that you need to go ahead and not have this loosey-goosey relationship. The third thing is that I would be mindful of is the cost. You don't necessarily have to have an LLC done in the in the state that you live in. Some cheap states are like Nevada, Wyoming. Our original LLC was in Wyoming, but now that we're getting ready to do a big funding round and then take the next step and try to go public, we're now a Delaware C Corp. But one of the things I would tell you right from the very beginning, don't start out as a C corporation, because a C corporation is treated as a separate entity and it gets taxed on its earnings, and then any money that goes to you gets taxed again. Whereas with an LLC, you can have it, and a subchapter S, you can have them be what's called pass-through organizations. So the money that goes to an LLC that's profit then goes to you as an individual and doesn't get taxed twice. It doesn't get taxed at the LLC level. It just gets taxed whatever you pay yourself on the excess revenue side of things. So be mindful of all those things. And you don't have to spend a lot of money doing it. In fact, we have a group. I don't know if you have the group's name.
Oh, yeah. Is that Inflow? I think.
Yeah.
I will add it to the chat if I can't find it fast.
So if she can find that, that's a good way to go get one formed, because they're very inexpensive. They're highly qualified. I would not use LegalZoom or any of those type of things, because that's really kind of a do-it-yourself. And these guys will do it for you for around the same price point. And you have an opportunity to make a whole bunch of mistakes that they probably won't make.
Perfect. Yeah, of course I can't find it that fast, but that's okay. I will put it in. If you guys want the LLC company, just put LLC in the chat and I'll make sure to reply back with that, just in case, because I have to keep Fred moving or else he'll stall out here. So I have, the next question is, how do I manage risk in my business? It's broad.
Well, the best way to manage risk is to have tight financial controls. So know where you're spending your money, know how to spend your money, know, as my earlier app reference, know how to not spend too much money. You should be, if you're building an app, you should be doing something that's really lean. In fact, I've seen people go out and raise money with 3 or 4 pictures of what the app is going to look like and have more capital coming in, right? That's one way. The other is to really don't get ahead of yourself. When we end up spending money on things that we don't need to spend money on, and when we do that, then we end up in a big crisis. We have 2 things that happen in startup businesses. The first reason that people fail is because they built something nobody wants. So put money into research. In fact, we have a research plan that I don't know, it's less than $2,000 for plan and training, teach how to be an entrepreneur. Well worth doing something like that, so you know your market and you know where you should be spending your money and when. And then the other thing, again, just be tight with your financial controls as you're building your organization. look at where you're spending the money. Do you really need to spend money there? Start out lean, go quickly, and then grow into your business, and always be ready. Today, if you're a CEO, you have to be thinking like a financial CEO. And what do I mean by that? Unless you want to have a small company that's just selling on Amazon and you're happy making $100,000 a year on Amazon and that's what you want as a lifestyle business, this doesn't necessarily apply to you. Go do it and use your cash flow to grow that business. But if you're trying to build something that you want it to be the next billion-dollar company, you need to be a financial CEO. What does that mean? You're either closing a financing round, you're in between looking for the next one, or you're starting your following financial round. Because if you start doing well as a company, let's suppose you're growing like this. Okay, the money from this last month needs to support paying for the expenses for this next month that you're growing, and so on. So you can only grow with your cash flow at a certain level. When you infuse additional capital, you can grow at a level like this because you're bringing in other money and you're taking advantage of that additional capital to grow. So you always got to be looking at your finances, managing your finances, and going out and raising capital if you want to create a big company.
I love it. Well, I want a cash infusion, a cash flow. That'd be nice. Well, I did find the link to the LLC company, so I put that in the chat. I will reply as well to you guys in that.
Okay, I have another comment just because you used the phrase cash flow. Your success can kill you. Everybody wants to get into Walmart and Target and all those big box companies with their physical products, right? But the worst thing that can happen to you early on in your business career is get an order for 100,000 units of what it is you're selling. Why? Because now you have this big demand. You don't have the capital to go ahead and service that order. And now your successes are killing you because you can't deliver. So that's another thing to be mindful of in your finances, not just huddling when things are not going well, but being careful that you can manage the expectations as you're growing. I want to be in Kmart all over the U.S. Well, no, or Walmart. No, you don't. You want to be able to go slowly enough where you can manage that demand. And do understand that companies like that, those big companies, they have minimum requirements for every single store. When you have products in every one of those stores, if you're not selling more than X units a month, 3 or 4 months in, they're going to call you and they're going to tell you, come pick up an extra 50,000 units. And in your agreement with them, now you have these 50,000 units that you've already paid for that are now sitting in your garage or your warehouse, and you have to figure out what to do. You have to give them money back from what they paid. And they also may have 60 or 90-day terms or even 30-day terms for the orders they make, and you're going to have the cash to manage that. So managing cash flow means being careful of your successes as well as having additional capital available when you're not succeeding, when things are not growing.
I love it. That's good to think about too. I know we have some people who are right on the cusp of getting into stores and they're in that in-between stage right now. So exciting, but scary. So I do see some questions over in the chat. I'm going to pop over into those real quick. Again, if you have a question, we don't get to it, we will cover it on the next one. And Odin, I'm going to save yours for the end because I want to end on that because it sounds like an inspirational one for Fred too. Patrick asks, is there a situation where you would not do social media?
Sure. If I'm selling toilets, plumber, right? And social media is a very broad term. Is there going to be a benefit from you having social media presence? There are several industries that maybe don't have a benefit. There's other platforms that you don't really think of social media that are social media. For example, if you have a B2B business, your social media might be LinkedIn.
For sure.
You might go deeply into LinkedIn and have articles and stories about your industry to show that you're an industry leader and do outreach programs there and training sessions there, providing free information. So that is social media, but it's very business oriented, right? Whereas if you have a product that is consumer oriented and could be very popular, food, beauty, clothing, any of those type of consumer goods, then obviously social media is not only important, but if you do it right, you can make a hell of a lot of money selling directly to your audience in those platforms.
I think also it's not necessarily a social media platform, but you would be local listings, and you would make sure that you're in Angie's list, or, one of those. If you're a plumber, you're in different places. It's still, Google local listings, Google My Business is actually considered a social media platform, though no one uses it as social media, but it's a way of doing it. Just doesn't look like a typical picture. It might be a case study or a testimonial or something, or mostly testimonials over in that space. And then, like you said, social selling is a big thing. I know, Odin, I saw you talking about sales too over there, but it's very easy to use the social media platforms without using posts. You can do ads only. You don't even have to post social media. You do want to look like you're not spam. So you have to have something on your page so they know you're real, but you can actually do a lot with ads and not have to go through a social media. You're not posting every day, like you said, a toilet.
Or even in my ludicrous example of a toilet, for example, all right, you don't want to have like, this is Joey sitting on his brand new toilet. You don't want to have that, right? But even so, indirectly with an influencer that is in architecture or in interior design or something, you might want to partner with an influencer that says, here's a complete bathroom redo. And part of that is this beautiful new toilet that was created by Joe's Toilet Emporium. So you can use social media indirectly in cases like that. So just be mindful that you want to reach an audience that's going to be responsive to what you want. And even with something like that, you can find a way to do it indirectly. But
Perfect.
no, not everybody needs to have social media sites.
Absolutely. So Levi asks, how do you deal with getting over stalling out? Sometimes he finds himself researching instead of doing.
That's a hard thing. I like to say that perfect is the enemy of good enough. And sometimes we try to overthink things. We've launched, I think, something like 37 projects here this year alone. I know in the last week, we've launched about 5 different apps, and we've had to strong arm some of our partners to launch. Somebody doesn't like this shade of blue. Somebody thinks that this box should be a little bit bigger. Somebody wants to change one word in a sentence. And get out there. Don't be perfect. Get out there, because at some point you got to stop researching and start doing. The best research, after you've done your initial research, of course, to figure out your positioning, the best research you can possibly get is going live and getting customer feedback. There's no better research than that, because then you don't have to guess. Your customers are telling you what they want. Wow, I love your app. If only it had this. And now you get 20% of customers saying, yeah, that's a great idea. Now you're building something that people want, but you're not going to know that unless you get out there and get things in customers' hands.
Yes, 100%. Now, I know that Bill over there with High Rise Sports Chair, you have a great question too. So I'm gonna say, first of all, if you were trying to reach out to me, Bill, send it again. I just looked through all my email. I have not seen a message. So send it again. So High Rise Sports Chair, how hard is it to sell a patent? That's from Bill.
Selling a patent is harder than getting a licensing deal. And it's more protection for you to get a licensing deal than actually selling a patent itself. The problem with selling patents, number one, 97% of patents that are granted are never made. And you have to find a company that is willing to go and pay you one check to be able to take that patent over. So it's a little easier to find a company that's in a synergistic place that wants to increase their portfolio business and license what you have. But Bill, see me offline. You have my WhatsApp number. Just do that separately, and I'll try to hook you up and see what you're up to and help you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I love the high rise sports chair. It's like he says, it's going to rise above the crowd. I agree, Bill. Thank you so much for the question. And I'm going to finish out with Odin's. And now I have to find, okay, Fred. Odin would like to know how you stay relaxed and cool in stressful situations. And then that will be our last question for today.
Well, Odin, bourbon. Uh, I don't always, and maybe it seems like I do, but there are plenty of times where I wake up at one or two in the morning and staring at the ceiling and wondering what the hell I'm doing, working so hard. But the reality is, if you're going to go on an entrepreneurial journey, I think part of the way to stay calmer and stay focused and stay in tune with things is to understand that pain is a necessary part of it. There's a great 1 hour show with Elon Musk talking about all the failures he's had. That they were talking about SpaceX and the fact that his first four launches all failed, and if the fifth launch hadn't gone successfully, they would have been gone and out. He had invested 100 million of his own dollars in that process as well. So even people that we look at like that probably the richest man in the world, also the man that lost the most money of anybody in the world, and has a lot of companies that are not profitable. He has stresses every single day, and every entrepreneur has to be able to embrace that stress and use it as your rocket fuel to help you move forward and understand that you're doing something that hasn't been done before. So by force, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to run into roadblocks. You're going to have manufacturing delays. You're going to have engineers that are delivering software products that don't match up to what your expectations in your head were. And just understand that's a natural part of the sport, right? If you want to be a professional boxer, you need to understand that no matter how good you are, you're going to get punched in the face. And with entrepreneurship, you're going to be punched in the face in the body repeatedly. And just understand that's part of the sport of entrepreneurship. And if you understand it and don't blame yourself for those things, then you can have the fortitude to move forward in a positive way and go back to sleep at that 1 o'clock in the morning moment and wake up refreshed and ready to roll, knowing that this is a journey and it's a never ending journey. You signed up for it. You need to go back to a 9 to 5 job or stick with it and work your 80 hours a week that it takes to get to the next level.
Oh, thank you so much, Fred. And I'm going to actually run really quickly because my puppy sounds like he's stuck and he's been trying to escape for quite some time. So I apologize, guys. We'll see you all next Friday, noon Pacific time. Yes, we'll see you all next Friday. Bye, guys.
Bye.